This video is about CELPIP reading applied to a diagram task. Now let me say this very clearly before we even start. Applied to a diagram is not a reading task. It is not a diagram task either. This one is a decision-making task. CELPIP wants to see whether you can take written rules and apply them correctly to a system. And if you don't follow a strategy here, this section quietly eats up your score. So in applied to a diagram, CELPIP is testing your sequencing, conditions, permissions, restrictions, cause and effect. They are not testing the vocabulary difficulty. They are not testing the long reading. They are not testing your fast scanning. So if you read like this, IELTS or TOEFL, you're already doing it wrong. Here are the core strategy that you should know. The rule injection strategy. So this is not question control. This is not intention matching. This is not keyword scanning. This is something different. When I say rule injection strategy, so here the diagram is a fixed system. The text only injects rules into the system. Your job is not to understand the text. Your job is to see how each sentence changes the diagram's behavior. Got it? So now let me tell you how this strategy works. The first step is log the diagram. Okay? So what do you mean by log the diagram? Before even reading one word, you have to look at the diagram, understand the flow, and you have to identify the start point, checkpoint, and where is the end point. Say in your head, this is how the system works. Got it? So the first step is log the diagram. And the second step is assume everything is allowed initially. Okay? This is also pretty important because at the beginning you have to imagine everyone can move freely. All steps are open, nothing is restricted. Now you are ready to read the text. Got it? And the third one is read each sentence as a rules, not information. So as you read, you have to keep asking yourself, does this sentence block something? Does it force an action? Does it delay a step? Does it require something else? So you are injecting rules into the diagram. Got it? And let's see a diagram here. So this is a diagram of City Recreation Center program enrollment process. Just observe this diagram carefully and you can put all the steps that we have discussed so far. Okay? So City Recreation Center program enrollment process, online registration, payment confirmation, in-person orientation and program participation. Let's move on to the text here. So here is the text. Individuals are interested in joining programs at the City Recreation Center must first complete the online registration form available on the center's website. After submitting the form, participants are required to complete payment within 48 hours in order to secure their spot. Once payment has been confirmed, participants must attend a mandatory in-person orientation session held at the center. Only those who have completed the orientation will be permitted to take part in scheduled recreational programs. Now, I'm going to apply the rule injection strategy here. The diagram is logged. I'm going to inject the rules one by one. Sentence 1 analysis must first complete the online registration. So the rule injected is online registration is mandatory, no skipping allowed. And the second one analysis here is required to complete the payment within 48 hours, right? So here the rule injected is payment is a time-based condition. Missing this breaks the flow. And the next analysis is must attend a mandatory in-person orientation. And again, the rule injected here is orientation is not optional, right? This becomes a checkpoint. And the last analysis, I could say, this one is only those who have completed the orientation, right? So this is a big CELPIP word, only. This creates a gatekeeper step. Now let's see the questions here. At which stage does a time restriction apply? Which step acts as a mandatory checkpoint before participation? What must occur immediately after online registration? If a participant completes payment but skips orientation, which step will they not reach? Which step controls access to recreational programs? So, for the first question, the answer is payment confirmation. Why? Because if you have read the passage and if you have analyzed, it is given 48 hours limits action, right? And for the second question, mandatory checkpoint. So here, in-person orientation, because participation is blocked without it. And for the third one, after online registration. So payment, yes. The sequence rule, if you remember, first is registration, then comes the payment, then comes the orientation. So after registration, payment. Payment is the answer. And for the question four, skip orientation. So if a participant completes payment but skips orientation, which step will they not reach? The answer is program participation. Even with payment, you remember the gatekeeper blocks access. So program participation. And for the question five, which step controls access? Yes, orientation, because CELPIP loves gatekeeper logic. So here the gatekeeper is orientation. Now, let me tell you some of the don'ts, okay, in CELPIP reading, especially for apply to a diagram. Don't read the text before the diagram. Don't do that, okay? And don't treat diagram as a decoration. No, because that serves an important purpose. That gives you a clear picture as how it flows or what is the order or the structure. And don't ignore condition words, especially the words like only, must, required, before. Don't assume arrow means permission. Okay? Remember, self silently checks whether you can read rules or conditions, understand the spatial relationships, apply the constraints, eliminate logically impossible options. This is thinking under pressure, not fast reading. Okay? And also remember the golden order. The diagram, panic, read randomly, then move on to guess. No, that you're not supposed to do it. The correct order is read the question first, then identify the goal like where, which, how. Then you have to identify the restrictions using the words, the keywords such as must, cannot, only, and then read the text instructions. Then finally you can study the diagram. The diagram only makes sense after you know what you're looking for. Got it? And also, most wrong answers violate one tiny rule. Examples of hidden conditions. Say, for examples, only after 6 p.m., employees only, wheelchair accessible, no food allowed, emergency exit only. So these type of tiny answers hide the important things. Self-help love answers that match 90% of conditions which violate one condition. That's how they trap you. Okay? And when I say apply to a diagram, right? Here, apply means you have to take rules from the text and you test them against diagram locations and you reject options that break rules. Think like this. If this person goes here, does it break any rule? If yes, then eliminate it. Okay? And I'll tell you what to look at first. Do not look at everything. You have to scan for like entrances or exits or for arrows in case of direction, labels such as public, private, staff only, wherever it is mentioned, and important labels, and then symbols for stairs, elevators, or washrooms, sometimes distance or proximities, okay? And try to ignore the decorative areas like extra rooms not linked to the questions, okay? And very important, the reverse elimination technique. I wanted to tell you this. Instead of finding the right answer, try to kill the wrong ones. For each option, you have to ask yourself, does this violate any rule? Does access make sense? Is the direction allowed? Is timing compatible? Usually, two options die immediately. So, one option dies after the deeper check. And remember, finally, one option survives, which is the right option. So, apply to a diagram is not about reading English, it's about injecting rules into a system. If you control the system, CELPIP cannot trick you. Remember that. Okay, so that's all for today's video. Kindly like, share, and subscribe for more CELPIP tips. See you in the next video. Bye bye.